Hi, I'm Namita Ramani, founder of Above Digital and your host for Successful Marketing for Small Businesses podcast. Thank you again for listening to our show or watching our show from whatever platform you're listening to this, and welcome again. Today, my guest is very much into fitness industry. His name is Deepak Lalwani. Deepak has an extensive history in managing the fitness studios and experience of almost 15 years, starting from Jan 2003 as a director of Nautilus Academy Club in India, which got converted to Waves Gym in 2010. The concept was incorporating fitness clubs, salon and spa all in a single environment in India. Then he came to Dubai as a chief operations officer for Fitness 360 in 2011. He established his own company called GFX, Group Fitness Experience, a boutique group exercise studio, and one of the first immersive cycling studio in the Middle East to offer the trip by Les Mills. He's a very enterprising entrepreneur in the fitness industry, and now let's hear his story on all these different ventures he's part of, franchising that he's launching for his company, and so much more. Deepak, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for coming and accepting my invite and being open to sharing your journey.
Absolutely.
As I understand, you have bachelor's in business administration degree from States, right? From New York.
From Hofstra, yes.
And then you decided to return to India. But before you started a fitness journey in the fitness industry, your journey in fitness industry, you were working for a technology company called Intraflow for almost 4 years.
So the company was called Activate Technologies, and it was a media house. So we were in the digital media space, very much like yourself.
That's where now I know.
And
I already have answers to some questions now.
We had created a software called Intraflow. This was for digital publishing. And we had started this company out of Dubai, and we had a branch office in India. My brother and I, we had founded this company together, and we had launched the first media portal for midday newspapers to carry out their entire digital media presence with a website called Chalo Mumbai.
This is in 2000 and?
This is before we started the gym business.
Yeah,
So,
this is in 2000.
This was in 2000.
You know, at that time, in 1999, I remember I was sitting on Google there was Ask Jeeves and Yahoo. It was like, the search engines had just started at that time.
Exactly. The search engine started, the big portals had started, rediff.com and so forth.
Hotmail. Yeah.
Exactly. And we were in this space, and we had partnered with the managing director of Midday. His name's Tariq Ansari. And he had given us our first crore rupees to start off basically the entire publishing software division for his newspaper. And that's how
people didn't even have laptops.
People didn't have laptops. We didn't have proper internet connections. We were
Correct.
dying with internet connection
Yes.
at that point in time.
Yeah.
And we had multiple modems running through.
Yes, dial-up connection.
Dial-up
too.
Connections
That
running
sound,
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still launched this, and it was incredible. But then came the dot-com bust. The whole industry kind of collapsed, and my brother and I, basically, we decided to diversify. We looked at two industries. He continued in the software business and started his own company in Dubai called Flip Media, which he later sold to Leo Burnett. And I started going into the services field. So I started with opening a health club in Mumbai, and 2004, this journey started. And I was not from this industry at all. It was something that I was passionate about. I enjoyed going to a health club. There was a health club in Dubai called the Nautilus Academy, run by a very dear friend called Gary Malouche. And I used to go and enjoy the club there. And I told him, I said, Gary, this is a great business to be in, and I'd like to know more. So he introduced me to the managing director at that point in time of the Nautilus Academy, a very, very amazing gentleman called Jim Tatum, who flew in to meet me from the States. And I told him, I said, Jim, look, I have this property in India, in Mumbai, and I'd like to open the Nautilus Academy, as Gary has done in Dubai, in Mumbai City. And he was like, okay, we're going to help you. So his help was, with the design of the gym layouts and so forth. Again, because we were complete novices at this, with the equipment, the Nautilus equipment that we had. But we wanted to be something different. We didn't want to just be a health club. So what we did was we added a salon and spa into the same facility and started running a gym, salon, and spa. So when people would come and work out, after their workouts, they would say, okay, I'd like to, go and maybe get a haircut or a manicure and a pedicure or a massage after my workout. And this was a facility that we had. So we started something very unique as a concept in 2004. And we grew, and I was very, happy to be mentored by Gary Malouche here in in Dubai, and he was my SOS phone call away. Every time there was a problem in the gym, I'd call him up at weird hours. I'd be like, Gary, this has happened in the gym. Now what do I do? He's like, all right, Deepak, calm down. We'll sort this out. And he would guide me and help me through all the difficulties that we had, because there were a lot of teething difficulties. I remember the first week when we had opened the club, this gentleman comes up to me and says, this is such a beautiful akhada. I was like, excuse me? I was shocked. I was like, sir, this is a 10,000 square foot gym with all the latest Nautilus equipments, and you've not seen anything like this. And he goes, but gym to akhada hota hai na? I was like, excuse me, no. So we had to kind of teach people fitness from the very beginning. As I was learning, I was also teaching people that this is basically fitness as a lifestyle. And we've grown with that business. Today, we finished 16 years of that business, and we've renovated that entire club. Last year, we made a pledge to all our members. We said, we're going to give you a brand new gym. And that's exactly what we did. In 4 months, we completely tore down the entire club, and we made a brand new Waves gym for them. And they've been enjoying it ever since. And that business still continues. And we're servicing over 2,000 active members in Mumbai, from that time that we started.
Amazing, incredible. Getting funding back in the days of 1 crore rupees is about $500,000 US. How did you manage to get that? One, that is my first question. And second is, how did you know how to utilize the funding? One is to get the funding, and the second is to utilize it in the right way, right?
Well, I was blessed from the very beginning with great partners. So my brother, who's the IT, he was a technology head. Also, techie. We're all techies, basically. And we had another CTO, he was with us, and he was amazing as well. But the concepts that we had at that point in time were very intriguing. The publishing industry had not seen anything like what we'd created, and it was the belief at that point in time, and people were ready to take risks. Tariq took a huge risk investing with us, and we did amazing work for Midday. The way the information was moving previous to what we'd done with Interflow was taking something from the Stone Ages and bringing it right to the digital age. Yeah. So it was an amazing time at that point in time to develop something new and to launch it.
How was, so you started with Nautilus, which became Waves Gym, and then you came to Dubai with Fitness 360, which is like 4 clubs. Like suddenly from one, you have 4 gyms, and you are one of the biggest gyms in Dubai. So how was that experience from 1 to 4?
So it was great. I was
challenging.
It was challenging, yes, very challenging, because I spent my entire time working for Fitness 360, developing clubs. We were given a clear mandate by the owners that we need to have multiple facilities. Yeah. So scouting locations, making sure that we had the right formats, and expanding the business was a clear mandate, and it was literally a warpath. We were on a mission to open health clubs, and that's what we were doing. And it was a great journey, a great learning experience. Worked with a lot of very talented people, got to recruit lots of teams to grow the enterprise, and basically gave me a knowledge base on opening my own business.
Yeah.
Because
All the crash course.
yeah, it was literally a crash course on how is it to open a business back in the UAE and get started. And the idea of GFX came up, and we started in 2014, and we haven't looked back ever since.
But before I come to GFX actually, I want to ask you about, I want to go back to Fitness 360's experience where you mentioned that you learned a different, you were developing a club philosophy and you were doing things to increase employee morals and member satisfaction, measures, you took various measures to increase member satisfaction at the different clubs of Fitness 360. How did you do, like, when you share some experience about that, like more in-depth, like work experience?
So basically, everything is teamwork. Today, I'm blessed. I have a team in India with me for the last 16 years. The same team I started with is still with me. And I believe very much in teamwork. So it was replicating that same teamwork or team effort in every club that we started off. Making sure we had the right manager on board, making sure we had the right sales team on board, making sure that we had the right sales strategies in place, whether the club would be basically a ladies only club or a mixed club, which locations would serve what purpose. So it was a very interesting experience on how to replicate effectively multiple locations that provide a similar experience. So that's basically what you need to cultivate when you grow a business to multiple locations. And that's exactly what we were dealing with. We were dealing with recruitment. So we had recruitment from the Philippines, where we would go and recruit our entire staffing, getting those people to be trained up to understanding customer service in this region, because there is a huge disparity in what the people expect in the UAE versus what they were doing back home in the Philippines. Bringing that standard of service up, it was a continual effort, whether it was trainings that we did, weekly trainings that we did, team meetings that we did, team building activities that we did. So everything was to enhance the customer experience. That was the most important thing, that once you have a customer who really appreciates the work that you're putting in for their fitness journey, they're never going to leave you, and they're always going to be a part of your fitness business.
I think it's for any business.
That's true.
If a customer can feel, if a client can feel that they are being taken care of, everything is fine. Nobody's going to leave.
Nobody's going to leave. Absolutely.
They're going to be your loyal customers, and they're going to vouch for you wherever you go.
Exactly. And they are your best word of mouth references.
Absolutely.
And they're your best sources of new business.
Yeah.
That's I think the precursor or the foundation of every successful business, is that you need to have that great customer experience.
Yeah. Why did you choose to come to Dubai?
Oh, it was.
Suddenly you're owner of your own gym. Then you came to work for someone else.
This was the first time I actually worked for someone.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity to come back to Dubai. I had actually gone back to India because my father was very ill. So I had to be there to take care of his health. Never knowing that I would have an opportunity to come back to Dubai, because we've grown up in Dubai. I've lived in Dubai since 1971. So we moved here when we were 6 months old. My parents came here with absolutely nothing. They grew. My dad's an engineer. My mom's a doctor. And we started service industry. So they worked all their lives to reach a point where they could raise their children over here. My brother is born in Rashid Hospital. So basically, he's a local product, as you call it. So yeah, we've grown up here, and it was always a thing to come back to Dubai, because.
But interesting, both service industry gave birth to entrepreneurs.
Both entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, and it was interesting, and the opportunity just came with Fitness 360, and I grabbed it. I was like, all right, this is going to be a great way to get back to Dubai. And also give me an opportunity to be a part of a growing business. Then I realized at that point in time that I needed to do something on my own. That entrepreneurial bug was in me. I was like, okay, wait, this is still not mine. I need something that's mine, and that's how the entire concept is. I think once an entrepreneur, always
An
you know,
entrepreneur, yeah.
always an entrepreneur. So
Once you have it, once you've done it, you can, like, I know if I go to Timbuktu, I can sell air.
I'm sure you can.
I will make it up. I will make it happen. So
I remember, yeah, that was something they used to tell me. Deepak, you can sell ice to an Eskimo. I was like, yep, that's exactly what you need to do,
Yes.
if you want to be an entrepreneur.
once you learn it, you always keep doing it.
Right.
So you have all this experience of working for different gyms, and you've set up these gyms. And then GFX is not a gym. It's a group, it's a boutique group exercise studio. It's a totally different concept. How did you pivot? So you changed the whole model. And
So I realized when I was working with Fitness 360 and also with my own health club in Mumbai, people love group fitness. You'd see a lot of people come in and use all the fitness equipment within a gym. So they'd use the treadmills, they'd use all the strength equipment, and they'd enjoy that. And then there'd be this huge group of people who'd love to come and do a yoga class, a Zumba class. And I was like, this is interesting. There's no great capex to opening a group fitness studio. And it's a great opportunity to do something that I enjoy without spending a lot of money and opening huge health club, which competes with all the major players in Dubai. So I was like, what do we need to do which differentiates us from all these major players? And the concept of group exercise or group fitness was basically put together. I had my brother do all the artwork of GFX, the logos and all the website, the web development. We strategized together and we launched that. And I had a very, very great support from Les Mills.
but Les Mills happened now.
Les Mills happened from the very get-go when we started GFX. They were always very, very good to me as a company. And through their references, we got great trainers. We got great instructors to come and teach. And those instructors basically had amazingly full classes. And that's how the whole concept of GFX started. It didn't start with the immersive cycling studio.
That's now. Exactly.
It's now. So GFX started off as a 1,500 square foot group fitness studio, standalone boutique in front of a 25,000 square foot fitness first gym, 500 feet away from where our studio was. And we were challenging a behemoth like Fitness First with a 1,500 square foot location. And I was honestly at one point in time when Fitness First had opened up, I was like, oh my God, they're going to eat us for breakfast. This is it. We'll have to pack our bags and move back to India because this is not going to happen because these guys, they do so much more, and they're such a huge company.
And they have so much more to offer.
And there's so much more to offer.
In the pricing.
And basically, I had people saying, no, we don't want to go to Fitness First. We want to be with you. I was like, okay, that's good. And I was like, why? I said, you've got great trainers. And you've got that one-on-one experience that people enjoy. They want to come to you because you take care of your members. You give them a great fitness experience. It's like, okay, this sounds like a plan. This is a plan coming together. And we started that and we ran the basic studio, a 1,500 square foot, from 2014 to 2016. And then we had the courage to expand and add more space. And we added the first trip studio in the Middle East. And talk about the butterflies in my stomach when we started that. It was a huge investment. And basically, we had to really stretch ourselves to make this a reality. Second, we weren't supposed to be the first trip studio in the Middle East. The first trip studio in the Middle East was supposed to be the Madinat Talis Club at the Madinat. That was supposed to be the first trip studio. And they backed out. And we were in construction phase And basically, we had the opportunity of the first movers advantage then, because we were like, no, irrespective of the fact, that these guys are still talking, we're building. So we actually went in tail first, built the whole studio, did it to spec, and then had the president of Nautilus, who was the head of their UK division in the entire Middle East, come down, and he was like, "Oh, you've built it already. Okay, now we'll support you." And we started the Trip Studio. So it's a challenge to do something, and we got that out.
So you have fierce competition with Flywheel, Fitness First. It's themselves. They have their own cycling studios, and you have Cadence Theatre, and there's so many more. How do you keep up? Like, how do you keep running the show? Because there's too much around.
This is actually very interesting. I used to teach spinning when I was in India. I was a spin instructor at my own gym. Very, very passionate about cycling.
That's how we met also, by the way, on
exactly.
the cycling track.
That's how we met on the track.
Yeah.
And when we started GFX, I wanted to actually start a cycling studio before all the group fitness classes. The concept was to do a pure cycling studio. But then I decided, I was like, no, it's not the right time. And there is no unique proposition. Because if I would launch a cycling studio in 2014, the Trip wasn't invented at that point. It wasn't launched. Yeah. And at that time, basically, we had Flywheel Dubai, which was very, very, very popular as a standalone boutique. And we had all the other gyms providing indoor cycling classes. So there was no USP. There was no unique selling proposition for us to differentiate ourselves in any shape, way, and form. When the Trip came out from Les Mills, that was very unique. And the whole concept is the gamification of fitness. Yeah. So today, a 13-year-old child loves the Trip because he's like, this is so cool. It feels like you're in an alien world. You're zipping and zipping and, we're going all over the place, and there's great music and there's great choreography and there's an amazing trainer guiding you through these great worlds. And he's like, oh, this is better than my iPad. When a child actually said that to me, one of the kids who came in for the class, I was like, all right, we're on the right track right now, because we're helping kids, come into exercise and fitness, and we're making it fun for them. It's not that they need to do this because, they want to make fitness a lifestyle. This is because it's cool, and this is what we wanted. We wanted to have something that differentiates us from everyone else.
But is it profitable?
It is profitable now. It has been 2.5 years of incredibly hard work, and it has started reaping its benefits now.
What is the biggest challenge in promoting it?
Getting people to understand what immersive cycling was all about. Because people, they didn't know it. They didn't know anything about it. And
then they would compare you to normal other spinning.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, what's the difference? I'm like, you have to experience it. You have to experience a Trip. You have to experience what immersive cycling is all about. And then you can differentiate it between what the other health clubs are doing and what we're doing at GFX. And once people started enjoying it, and we started developing more and more instructors and adding more Trip classes to the timetable, people they just love it. Now it's really a part of life. And the best part is we've started ladies only classes now, because we were getting a lot of pushback and saying, can you please, launch ladies only Trip classes? Because, we want to have the privacy and to enjoy it with all the girls together. And we started that, and people are loving that. We have a lot of Emirati ladies coming in, and they're lapping it up. They're really having fun. They're coming with their group of friends, and I'm really surprised. They have a better fitness circle than anyone else does, because they come together, like 15 people would come together as one group of friends, and they'll trip together, and they'll be like, oh, this is so cool.
You kept, was comparing your pricing for the Trip compared to other cycling studios, which is way cheaper. Like you have 50%, I think. Any Flywheel and other cycling studios are charging anywhere between 100 to 120, I think, and you are charging 65. By cutting, my question is that you almost gave about 40% discount, 40 to 50% discount. How sustainable is it to give such?
So
And how would you recover the cost out?
the whole concept of fitness shouldn't be that it should break the bank. It should not hurt your pocket.
Yeah, but it should also.
It should also be profitable.
It's a business,
It's
right?
a business as
Yeah.
well. So we decided that the cost factor was a very, very important part of business when you're selling individual classes, and having a very high cost limits you to a lot of people. People can't afford it. They don't want to spend that much more. And giving them that kind of a price point where it's comfortable for them just makes it interesting for people to come back and enjoy more classes. So that's the easiest way. You make money, but you make it because people want to come and experience a trip class every day. They enjoy it.
To make it more affordable.
To make it more
kind of-
affordable, yes.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. Actually, I scanned everywhere, all information about Deepak while I was preparing for your introduction and everything. And I read that you wrote on your LinkedIn about GFX coming to break even in which year? In year one. You achieved
So the
a
main
break-even.
studio, was done. We were done in the first year of business. We had
How did you achieve that?
people just enjoyed the classes, and our price wasn't too expensive.
I think one of your main
and we have blessed
is
with
your
the great
price.
instructors
And good pricing.
and good pricing, yes. And everything was digital. So from the very get-go, free app to book your classes. So people knew exactly what the timetable was. They didn't have to call us. They would use their app, book their classes, and it was very, very convenient. The convenience factor was the most important thing.
Yours was the first gym, by the way, back in the days, in 2014 around, which had a proper website. I'm like, this guy's understand marketing.
Yep, that's exactly. We started off
Maybe it's
completely
because of
paperless.
Danish, your brother, who's...
This is basically all our digital media experience and with my brother's creativity. He was like, no paper from the get-go. Have an app. Do your classes.
Nobody invested in an app back then. Even now, very handful of the gyms have
from
that.
the get-go. We were like, no app, no business. So we were like, nay, we want to make it completely seamless for the user experience. And that's what the whole thing was. That's why we called GFX Group Fitness Experience. We didn't call it Group Fitness Exercise. We said everything is an experience. So even booking the class is an experience.
Should be an experience. So apart from having all the digital, touch points, what other forms of marketing has worked the best for GFX?
Word of mouth. Honestly, the best marketing for us has been word of mouth. We have Instagram presence. We have a great website presence. We're completely e-commerce driven. We have a Facebook presence out, but at the end of it, it is the people. Our members, they really, really love what we're doing. They love the instructors, and they love the space, and they love the warmth. They love the results. We've had people change their life. They come back to us and say, Deepak, I've lost so much weight. I feel so good. My husband looks at me so differently now. We have so many success stories that we've seen over the last 5 years. It's incredible. Every fitness journey, everyone who we've helped with their fitness journey has really appreciated what we've done, and they have really great things to say about us.
There's the loyalty of the clients.
There's the loyalty of the clients, and we've got a great team. I'm blessed. I'm telling you, I'm blessed with people who still date. We started GFX, and they're still with us. And they don't want to leave. They're like, no, we don't want to go anywhere. We want to be with you because this is a great, positive environment to work with.
You've had extensive experience with gyms and fitness club. How have you seen marketing? Because this podcast is about marketing and successful businesses and everything. How has marketing evolved in the fitness industry from 2000 to now? Because you've seen about 20 years.
It's continuously changing. Everything is continuous. There are complete disruptors in the market coming up every time, and it poses a new challenge to all businesses, whether it's in India or whether it's in Dubai. Very interestingly, I'll tell you about this issue that we had with a company called Guava Pass. They came in and they started aggregating all the boutique studios in Dubai and started offering them packages so people could jump around studios. And when we looked at them, we're like, whoa, this is going to affect our business, you know. But we looked at them very positively, said, no, this is not going to affect our business negatively. They're going to add value. And when people enjoy coming to classes, they're going to switch over and become GFX members. So there are new disruptors coming in all the time.
Now you have ClassPass.
Now you have ClassPass. ClassPass bought over GuavaPass, and now we're working with them. And
but members of ClassPass, again, they will be people who enjoy different things. They probably would not be your long-term members.
So we've had people come and do a couple of classes in ClassPass and say, okay, we want to continue with you just because of the fact that you've got so many different programs that you offer, you know, and we like the space. So they would have a ClassPass membership, plus they would buy a GFX package of classes. So it's really interesting, but I think it's member to member and customer to customer on what their preferences are.
So fitness industry, and especially your business, because it's a group class business, is very focused to teachers. And because I go to my yoga class because of the teacher who's teaching, for example. I'm sure you have very high retention of teachers and trainers in here, but I'm sure there's some people who move, right? Usually where my teacher moves, like when the doctor moves, I move with the doctor. And again, when my teacher moves, I move with the teacher also. So how does that affect the business, and how do you handle that kind of?
Well, nothing is forever. Yeah, people will definitely move. Dubai is a transient market. So we've had teachers working with us who've actually left back to India, looked at going back to their countries where they came from. But you keep on looking for great new talent all the time. And the one thing Dubai is blessed with is a lot of good talent. People basically come here to, have a really amazing lifestyle, and they fall in love with Dubai, and then they want to be here for a long period of time. And Dubai has that magnetism to attract that kind of talent from all over the world, and we're blessed with that. And GFX is blessed with great instructors because of that.
What is the biggest risk you took with GFX?
The trip studio.
Yes, trip, no?
The trip studio was our biggest.
I knew that's going to be the answer.
It was our biggest challenge and our biggest
You must be
risk.
having sleepless nights with that.
Oh God, yes, to say the least. To doing something that had never been done before in the Middle East, launching the trip studio was one of my biggest challenges. And I was like, okay, what happens if this doesn't work?
Yeah.
So sleepless nights, lots of sleepless nights while it was
part of entrepreneurship, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
There are times when the business is like this. It's not a fixed...
No. But that's the fun of it.
Unless it reaches a particular stage.
But that's the fun of it. Otherwise, it would be too boring if everything started and,
started running.
It started running from the get-go. Oh, God. Then, you'd have the Midas touch and you just keep on, going. Yeah. But yeah, it's been interesting.
Same here. I've had many sleepless nights. Now, touch wood, things are on a stable path. Now we are on a different curve now.
Exactly.
So at least this is okay. And then the next next thing is happening. So it's pretty... fitness is... so one is that people also get bored and they move around. Then this industry is also very seasonal. So for example, now December is when people are having parties, maybe going back home. Again, summers, people leave the country, especially you in Dubai and in UAE. How do you handle the cash flow at that time of the year for your business?
Basically, what we've realized over the last 5 years, we've gone through this cycle. So we understand basically where we have to pull back our classes. So we reduce classes over the summer period, or basically when there's a holiday season. We keep on tweaking the timetables so that we adjust our cash flows. So that's very, very important, a part of business that we evaluate where Ramadan is, and basically when the schools are closing, we follow the school timetables very, very carefully.
Okay.
That kind of gives us a very clear insight on what we need to do, because the parents are traveling with their children. They're not going to be there for classes. So you don't need to have that many more classes that you need to offer. So you need to kind of trim the timetable, make sure that on the peak times you have more classes to offer. And in the lean times, you kind of reduce the classes to kind of offset your cash flow situations.
One of the ways I see you trying to grow GFX is by opening franchisee model. How did that idea come about, and how successful is it going?
We're still exploring the franchising model, and we want to grow that. Right now, we're studying it in depth. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the experience is done properly with every franchise that we open. So that's something that we are working towards. Now that we have a good handle on our existing business and with the growth of the Trip Studio and having 2 studios running properly, now it's a time for growth for us. So 2020, we're going to be rolling out a franchising model where we're going to be looking at multiple locations in the UAE, where we're going to be looking at 2 formats, where we have 2 studios, the cycling strip studio as well as the group exercise studio running parallelly, and we'll be offering classes but in a franchising model.
But wouldn't it create more competition? Like there's already so many studios opening on that. Like I was actually doing my research for inviting guests for the podcast, and I noticed that I have a lot of restaurants and a lot of yoga studio owners and gym, because those are probably the 2 industries which are thriving, and there's so many entrepreneurs in this.
Well,
So isn't that creating? My question is that if you open a franchisee in another city, for example in Abu Dhabi, it's different. Yes, it's not within the same city you're creating competition for yourself.
Dubai still has a lot of opportunity.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
In spite of hundreds of
Studios, yeah. It has a lot of opportunity, and you just have to be very selective about your location. It's location.
But location, what location? You have Marina, you have downtown, you have Mirdif, you have Bar Dubai, you have JLT.
So there are
JBR.
very, very select locations, as you said, you've given all the names down. But finding yourself in a good residential commune where you have ample parking, a good spend pattern that's happening over there, those locations.
But there are already other studios running in. No location is left, I think, untouched. So now in Dubai,
there are all new developments coming up. There's always
the
potential.
new developments. Yes,
yeah, there's always potential. So we keep on looking at the right thing, and the most important thing is finding the right partners. People who want to be a part of the service industry or the fitness industry, who really are passionate about running a business as we are. Once we find those people and we look at the locations, then yes.
Okay. What if businesses who are looking to open a franchisee model, can you share some insights on what work have you done in the franchisee model? What should they be doing to launch their business franchise, for instance, if they want to?
I think the most important thing is, can you replicate your existing model successfully? That's the primary question of franchising.
Which means you should put all the systems.
So all your SOPs have to be perfectly in place. You need to have a great location again. You have to make sure your franchisee is as involved in the business as you are going to be. Because it's,
he's an entrepreneur as well, right?
And as well. So
it's
basically,
that he has a support system,
he has
like
to
how
have
you
a
had for
proper,
Nautilus.
exactly, yes. He has to have a proper support system in place. Again, get the right team in place and then cultivate that team. Because you're going to start from literally, even when you take a franchise, you're starting the business from zero. The location starts from its very beginning.
Why does he need to be a franchise if he has to do anyway all the work?
No, we give him all the SOPs. So there's that huge learning curve is completely eliminated. But basically the amount of work that goes in to run the business once the business is created, there's no shortchanging that. So you have to put in the effort. If you don't put in the effort,
how would you maintain the consistency with the brand if they are doing their marketing? Will they be called GFX Studios?
Yeah. So it would all be under the GFX brand, and running under our technology, our SOPs, and basically our entire business strategy. So they would replicate that in different locations, and then we would monitor that with them. So it's not that you start a franchise and you're on your own. There's continuous hand-holding in the process.
So how does the franchise, what's the return on investment on a franchise, for example? What am I looking at?
I would say basically a 3-year return is basically what a franchisee would look at once they open. And again, find the right location to do it. If they've got the right location and they're involved in the business as we are, then definitely they would make their returns.
Your second studio, your one studio is in Executive Towers, which is in Business Bay, and your second studio is in Mirdif. Am I correct?
No, we don't have a studio in Mirdif. We have one studio in Business Bay right now with two. We have one location in Business Bay with 2 studios.
With 2 studios, okay.
Yes,
so right now it's only one.
It's one
location. Okay. What one piece of advice would you be able to give to somebody who is looking to open or get into a fitness industry, maybe opening a gym or opening up a yoga studio or a fitness studio like yours,
The whole concept of if you build it and they will come is over. So if you build it, make sure you have a great business plan in place.
Okay.
Make sure you know what you're doing and make sure you have a sales process. Because this is basically where businesses fail. They create it thinking that, okay, I've opened the business and it's going to run. People will come. That concept is
What's
over.
sales process? Because you can't have salespeople sitting and calling people in
Why
your
not?
own. Really?
Why can't you have salespeople calling people?
Salespeople are in other business, but for a studio.
In any business. For us, basically, it's not calling people to sell. It's calling people to confirm a class. Hi, Namita, you're booked for a trip class at 6:30 this evening. We look forward to seeing you. Is there any change of plans? How was your class after the trip class? A courtesy call after the class. How was your class? Do you have any feedback to share with us? When would you like to book in? Would you like to bring a friend the next time you come in? So this is not direct selling.
Yeah.
But this is a sales process that you follow to make sure that Namita comes to do a trip class, because she loves it. And then she brings a friend to come and do a trip class with her because, she loves it enough to share that with a friend. So it's a continuous process, but you need to have a process. Just putting together a business and saying, okay, I've invested X million dirhams, put in all this great stuff within it, I've bought all this equipment and so forth, and I have no sales process, and I just, have marketing where I'm spending in ads and I'm spending on Instagram or on Facebook and having a digital media strategy, but I have no sales process, will not make a successful business.
And this applies actually to quite a few of our, I think all across our clients as well,
Exactly.
which are B2C,
Yes.
business to consumer related
Exactly.
clients. And of course, we bring in the leads, but they need to have the process to call the lead, to confirm the booking, to follow for the feedback. Exactly. But I didn't know the same applies even to fitness.
It's relationship management.
Yeah.
101, basically. You
Yeah.
have to maintain relationships, right? And that's basically how you cultivate good business. And that's the success of GFX. It is that relationship management that we've been able to cultivate over the last 5 years, bringing people back so that they can enjoy their classes and then basically growing the business from there.
Has it happened with you? As like I said, business goes through ups and down cycles, and there are times when business is really down and your cash flow is tight and it's cringing. And so when you're on a asking territory, when you change your frequency or vibration to wanting things, like wanting people to come to the studio, or so the energy changes, right? It's all energy field.
Yes.
I believe it.
Yes.
Yeah. And there have been time, and I've been aware, and I've been watching how I behave when our business goes through a dip. I become like an asking, like I want you to confirm, and I want the contract in, and I want the checks in, and all that. So it become like a little tight when it comes to, and the vibration changes. And I'm sure it has happened to you as well when business goes through tough times. Is there a particular method or system or something you do to change the vibration? Because when you're on that zone, on that frequency of taking and asking and having people come and do, and so you actually move away, push away people, right? What do you do to change this? I would love to know your change this to another side, to become more authentic.
So basically, I think every business has challenging times. There's no two things about it. There is no direct growth without having a dip within that business.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is don't forget your fundamentals. It's scary with the economy and the state things are right now in Dubai. It's scary. But the fact is, you still believe in your fundamentals. You believe in your team. You believe in your business, because these are things that are your basic foundation blocks.
Yeah.
Once you believe in that, then your energy changes to looking at positives.
To have a service-oriented mindset.
Exactly. So you just focus on making sure that every member who comes in for a class has a great experience, irrespective of the number of members who come in. So if it's a full class of 40 people, the energy is amazing. If there's a class with 10 people, also make sure that you give them the same experience that the 40 people came in with. So for you, basically, it's that consistency of giving the right experience and creating that right positive energy. It's easier said than done. But it is one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur.
But how do you pass this effect on to the team? Like, do the team have targets?
Yes, the team has targets.
Even the trainers have targets?
The trainers don't have targets, but the entire the sales team has targets.
Which is your reception,
yeah,
booking
the reception
systems.
and so forth. And basically, you just have to keep that positive energy going. You have to keep on teaching your team or training your team and speaking to them, understanding what difficulties they're facing, how to overcome those challenges. How is it that you can help overcome those challenges? What are the rejections that they face every day? How is it that you need to overcome those rejections? So it is completely a constant team building process that never stops. I don't think there is ever a moment that you can say, no, now it's all on autopilot and I don't have to do anything. That just does not happen.
Yeah.
So whether it's the business here in Dubai, whether it's the health club in India, it is a constant process that you're always motivating your team. You're constantly in touch with them. You're constantly asking them, how can I help you? What is it that I can do for you today to overcome your challenges that you're facing?
Who was your first hire? So when you started GFX, I think because you came with a lot of experience. Usually other businesses and other entrepreneurs, they start as one. And they usually wear all the hats, and that's how they start. But I think the journey for you was a little different because you've had experience with Nautilus and Waves, and then with Mr. 60, you already knew what needs to go in. So it was not just like Deepak wearing all the hats. Deepak already had the trainers in place. He had the sales team in place. So everything was in place. You kind of did it almost right from the beginning.
Well, we had a right strategy. So that was the most important thing. We had the right business plan in place. And then basically we went targeting the right team. And as I said, I had a really good help from Les Mills, getting the right trainers. They were, very helpful to make sure that we had the right trainers from the very beginning, who would give great fitness classes from what we started. And that it was just a snowball effect. That once you had something correct from a foundation base, it was easy to build on. And then definitely having the experience helps a lot.
You mentioned in the LinkedIn as well that you doubled the business.
Yep. That's what gave us confidence to expand the business, because we were happy with what we were doing. And then we took the challenge of adding the trip on. So it was only when we found ourselves to be successful with the initial model, then we decided to grow the business.
What do you think was the important factor in doubling the business? What helped you double?
Again, the making sure that the timetable was effective, making sure that we had the right trainers in place, and growing that opportunity.
I think it's a combination of all. But was there any particular factor, like a particular type of, say, for example, was yoga working more than Zumba, or do these different verticals? Because these are your verticals,
yeah, these
right?
are all our verticals. It was constantly tweaking the timetable. There is no one method fits all in a timetable, even till date.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years and we tweak our timetable every month. So sometimes we add another class, which is working really well. We get member feedback, which is the most important thing. Listen to what your members have to say.
And the timings. And so you kept evolving according to the demands.
Exactly.
And that helped you double.
Exactly. It helped us add more classes at the right times. It helped us, grow the opportunity better. People were able to come and enjoy the classes more. And that's how we grew the business.
So what's the vision now for GFX? One is the franchisee.
Definitely the franchising. So basically that's something that we're looking at very, very seriously for 2020. And then basically we're looking at something that's I've become very personally fond of myself, is the meditation space. I've been doing a lot of research in this area. I started very seriously my own yoga journey. Couldn't sit cross-legged at all. I used to struggle. I can ride a bicycle for hours, but I couldn't do a yoga class to save my life. And I started this and started meditating as well. And honestly, I've fallen in love with the meditation space.
Maybe you can share the story about the research. You were just talking to me before we started rolling.
Very interesting.
So.
I came across an article on BBC about a company called My Headspace. Talked about a person in the UK who had gone through several life tragedies and started this company in the UK, a small setup, and grew this to becoming a $100 million turnover per year business in the meditation space. And basically we started at GFX doing things as what we call community classes. Community classes are basically classes for free. We don't charge. We invite people to come to GFX and just enjoy the experience and basically take that back. So when Business Bay or Bay Avenue, where we are right now, wanted to do a community month for all the residents of the towers, we did it for them. So we did about 30 classes throughout the month, yoga classes, and we didn't charge anything. And we did it in common areas where people could come in, bring their own yoga mats, and come and enjoy meditation, yoga. And we had a lot of parents who were living in the towers in their 60s, 70s, who would come in with their kids and come and enjoy the yoga class and just enjoy the whole experience. And this kind of made me very interested that, look, it's not only about just running the classes, it's giving back to the community as well. And what people were giving me feedback was, can we have meditation classes? Can you please do meditation classes before you start your yoga programming? And we started this 15 minutes, free of cost. There's no charge. You don't have to book. You don't have to do anything. You just turn up to class, just sit down and go through 15 minutes of guided meditation. And believe me, people are loving it. And we're bringing this in. And now what we're planning to do is in the afternoon times, we have people working and they're so serious and they're so stressed out and they're running and running and running. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing meditation, free of cost again. It's a community class between lunchtime hours. Just come into GFX, sit down. You can be in your suit. You just have to remove your shoes. And you can sit down and just basically 15 minutes is all you need. Just meditate, go through a guided meditation and, enjoy the rest of your day.
So the guided meditations are constantly playing inside the room.
They're playing inside, and we're doing it with live instructors also. We're doing it with virtual instructors. So this is something that we're
introducing meditation to GFX,
yes,
basically. I think it's. I think this whole industry. This is. I call it now an industry because it has become an industry now.
Yes.
It's really growing at a very rapid rate. Everybody's realizing the benefits of meditation.
Yes.
And I hope it doesn't get lost. The genuine benefits. I don't think it can, because if you just close your eyes and sit and be calm, it itself has tremendous benefits.
Exactly. It's just finding...
But I really believe meditation should not be charged.
There's no charge. That's what it is. And we decided to do that from the very get-go. We were like, no, we're not going to charge for this. It's finding your inner peace. You're finding that 15 minutes of calm within yourself.
Yeah.
Because you've got everything going on. Everyone's got very, very, crazy lifestyles. And everyone's got to be someplace, somewhere, do something. Whether it's your family, it's your work, it's your kids, it's your parents. You're playing multiple hats throughout the day. But this is basically your 15 minutes for yourself. Find that 15 minutes, come across and enjoy.
I'm myself, so I'm into Vipassana meditation.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm, in fact, going next week for a seva. And I love Buddha. I kind of believe in Buddha's teachings and his path and whatever he shared, his shilas, and it's everything about the way he teaches about meditation. And Guru Goenka ji kind of brought it to the world, to the normal world, not the monks just. So it's because of Vipassana, it's not limited just to, you have to be a monk to practice meditation. No, he brought it to the open. And I kind of believe in the way they teach Vipassana and the whole process of it. And the Vipassana was introduced to me when I was 19. Wow. And after 20 years, it came back to me in this year. In January, I went for my second retreat. And always I go when I'm in pain. Having said that, I go in the retreat in pain, but I come back smiling. And just again, just a couple of months back, before I started working on my own podcast, I was consuming a lot of content. I was listening to podcasts left, right, and center. Like all day I'm listening to podcasts. And if I don't listen, I felt incomplete. So imagine the amount of content which is going in my brain. You name the person and I have his podcast, and I would see and scan and see which topic interests me. And since 1 month, Deepak, believe me, I've stopped listening to all podcasts. And I've introduced meditation as a compulsory practice in my day. So I wake up really early at 4:30. I sit for meditation. Then I go for long walks. Then by 6, I leave the house. So there's a sun. I can see the sunrise from the canal. And wait for the sun to go so much high that I can't stare at it then. And then I start walking. And I go without gadgets. That alone,
Is meditative.
I can't tell you what transformation it has. So since then, in the month also, in life, you have all these different challenges. You have things happening in business and in personal life. It has got so much centerness, like, and it's like now I don't become angry very fast. I'm not irritated very fast. It's just mere one couple of months I'm into it.
It's exactly.
And it's transformed my life.
It does. These are small things. People don't realize that these small things make such a huge difference.
So much.
And this is how it is. You need to find that time for
Yeah.
yourself. That's very important.
And I think I go for long walks, like for 2 hours. I go for 10 kilometer. Sometimes I'm walking fast, sometimes I'm walking slow, and it's no gadget. So I'm listening to my thoughts. And you won't believe when you do this, when you start listening and I start watching what's happening. What am I thinking? So the thought is coming. Then sometimes I'm getting attached to the thought and I'm kind of building upon the thought. And suddenly I'm in future or in past, which is making me anxious and whatever, I'm like, oh, Namita, you're caught up in the past and the future. Let's come back to present. Then I'll start listening, feeling the wind on my body, or, and I try to walk bare feet. So I go with no shoes and anything, and I can feel the ground on my, and just looking at the water, because on the canal is all throughout the water, right? So I start looking at the water, the waves and suddenly I'm back in the present. And this is such a fun exercise. And the more I do it now, the more I go in past and future, and bang, I just come to know now. The minute I get anxious, I'm like, okay, was it past or future? Okay, this is it. Now we're back to now.
You know your triggers then.
Yeah, now I'm so intrigued to go deeper. And I think I'm going to explore this. And I think a lot of people this is how, through their own experiences, getting into it. And I think it's fantastic. And this industry, I don't know if I should call it industry, but meditation is...
It is a business as well.
Yeah.
But I think if you do it right, if you maintain the essence of the business, then definitely it's something that will help a lot of people.
Yeah. And very, very important for everyone to adapt to their lives. One mistake you could have avoided if somebody told you, you wish you had someone to tell you and you didn't do that mistake. What would that mistake be?
Oh.
Across all your experiences you can share, maybe with Fitness 360 or Waves or Nautilus or GFX. I'm more interested in GFX though.
I don't look at anything that I've done in GFX as a mistake.
These are all learnings, yeah.
I look at it as a challenge. And how to overcome those challenges. So I could never look at anything and say, I shouldn't have done this. This was a mistake. I don't look at that right now. With whatever I've done in the last 15 years and, whatever I've grown to, I don't look at life as mistakes. I look at life as challenges and say, I could have done this better, but it's not a mistake.
So let's talk about one of the challenges that you could probably have done better.
I think from a growth perspective, for me, basically, people always look at me and say, oh, you've opened GFX, it's been 5 years. Why don't you have 10 centers? So easier said than done when somebody says, oh, why don't you have 10 centers? If you're doing so well, you can replicate this model. But the quantum of energy that goes in to making every center successful is a lot of energy. So do you have that kind of energy to replicate so many centers? Other than the financial bandwidth and everything else, talk is cheap, And a lot of people basically have a very easy said that, oh, you can expand this, right? I'm like, yes, it can be, but it requires the same amount of energy that we've put in the first one. But I'd rather do one well than 10
poorly.
So when the time is right, we will expand to 10 or even 50 or 100. But the fact is, when we are ready and we have the energy so that we can do this properly for every new unit that's opened up, that's basically what the challenge is. And so that's where you need your time and you need to be patient and you need to be, going through and weather the markets because everything changes and you need to understand the dynamics of that because nothing is constant, So that's, to answer your question in the best way that I can.
What would you say is your biggest strength?
I would say teamwork, finding the right team. and believing in the right team and training the right team is one of my
So
biggest
team
strengths.
building is your
Team
strength.
building is one of my strengths, and basically then making sure that you trust them enough so that they can achieve their maximum potential. So that's basically where I feel that I have good instincts and insights, that help me grow my business.
Are you spiritual or religious?
Both. My mom is a classical religious singer who has devoted her entire life after medicine to writing music, singing, and she brought spirituality and religion both to me, basically. And yeah, I think that's been inculcated through her.
I would love to hear her once.
Oh
by
yeah,
the way.
she's 78. She still sings amazingly. She writes music in her dreams, from her dreams, and then she composes. And she,
How come she became a doctor? She should have been a singer.
oh,
or
she
a
should have.
writer.
Her father was a singer. Her father, my grandfather,
So it's like a
was a kavi.
inherited.
So basically, but he
Poet.
always,
Kavi is poet.
yeah,
Yeah.
a poet. Yeah. So basically, and she wanted to be a singer, but then everyone in her family was either a doctor or an engineer. That was the two fields.
This
that,
is a story of especially Indian families.
families,
Like you have three
exactly.
options: engineer, doctor, or lawyer.
Yes, exactly. So, her brothers were all engineers and her sisters are all doctors. So, she's a pathologist.
Oh, okay.
And
her father was a singer.
her father was a singer. My grandfather was a singer and a composer. Yeah.
Wow. She
So,
should
yeah.
have pursued singing.
So,
I think she would
music
have.
is the lifeblood of our family. Yeah. So,
Do you read books?
I enjoy reading books. I enjoy reading fictional books. I like to get lost in fiction. So one of my favorite authors is Tom Clancy. I just, I start his books and I finish within a day. I'll be like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit and I want to complete this book, and then that's what it is. Yeah, but it just starts on and off depending on how much time you can devote to your reading as well. But yeah, it's news and information is something that has to happen every day. But selective reading is, definitely when you have the right amount of time to devote.
But is there a particular book you would gift someone? A book. So there's a difference in you reading books and a book that you would like to gift someone. Is that they're two different things.
This is something I have to think about. Maybe I'll come back to you on that question. No, but it's a very interesting thought process.
Yeah.
To gift somebody something. Actually, the book that I picked up when I started reading about meditation.
Yeah.
So I also downloaded some ebooks on Buddhism.
Yeah.
And started reading through that. That would be a book that I would like to give somebody if,
Do you remember the name?
No, not off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a very interesting. Started off with even downloading something as simple as a Buddhism for Dummies, basically, to just understand the basics.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, actually, what Buddha says.
It's pretty simple, yes.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Do listen to podcasts. I enjoy more light podcasts.
Which one is can you recommend a few which you hear?
A lot of stuff from NPR. They've got a lot of different podcasts about the news, current issues, current trends.
You like to be like hands-on on what's happening in the world now.
Literally, so I enjoy reading the news. I enjoy understanding what new events are happening, what's happening, politically. Those things basically are quite interesting to me.
Any closing thoughts?
Believe in what you do, because without that fundamental belief, you really can't get anywhere. You've got to have that intrinsic belief in yourself if you're an entrepreneur, that you've got the right insight, the right plan, and for God's sakes, have the right plan. That's as simple as it gets.
But if the plan is not right and you fail, so what? You never fail, like you rightly said, you learn.
You learn, yes. Everything is a learning experience. Everything is a challenge. But you can do a lot of homework. You don't have to start without doing homework.
Yeah, true.
That's, I think, the best thing I would tell people. That please do your homework properly.
When you say homework, do proper research, do the SWOT
Exactly.
analysis, know who
Please,
is your competition.
Yeah, know who your competition is. Make a proper business plan. Understand what you're doing. Understand the market dynamics before investing hard-earned money.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting, I started as a solopreneur, my journey. And I started doing my own websites for my clients, and then I started outsourcing it. And I never imagined myself as a big agency for some reason, because I couldn't relate to bigger brands, but I could relate to businesses like mine to help them. I still don't know who my competition is. I hope people don't take this in a bad way. And I don't care. And why I don't care? Because I have a different business model. We specialize in a particular niche, what we do, which is lead generation. And we just strive to be better than yesterday. Like every month we are better than and how can we improve our campaigns for our clients? So that's how we look at least I look at my business. But having said that, initially you should know who your competition is.
You should know what you're doing. Yes, absolutely.
You should know what you're doing. Yeah. And you would like to share where GFX is and how they can find you, or they want to join the trip?
Absolutely. GFX is in Business Bay, Executive Towers. We open 7 days a week. We do over 150 group fitness classes a week.
Wow.
So you have a lot of different programs to select from.
Yeah.
You can download our free app and book your classes. It's on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store and on the website. And your first class is always free.
Mm-hmm.
So you can come and experience GFX, because that's what it is. It's the fitness experience that we're giving you. So please come and try that.
Yeah.
And you'll enjoy it. At the end of it, it's something that you'll take back and say, okay, this was great. I enjoyed this and I'm going to come back again.
Definitely the trip. Maybe we should try the trip.
Absolutely.
It was fun. I remember trying
come
the trip.
Try the trip. Bring your family. Come with your kids. It's a great family experience as well.
Yeah.
So I do it with my wife, my daughter. We love it together.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's been a great experience.
Same here.
Thanks.
It has been. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed listening to this show. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us through the comment boxes below. Please don't forget to share and like this podcast or this episode from wherever you're watching. Do subscribe to the channel, and hope you enjoyed our conversation, and see you next week or next time.